I remember that day so clearly, like it was etched into my memory. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. My wedding day. Ava, the woman I had spent the last 3 years of my life with, was supposed to be waiting for me at the altar. I could already picture it. Her smile, the way her eyes would light up when she saw me, how her laugh would fill the room. But then everything changed. I walked into the church, my heart pounding with excitement. The guests were already seated. The flowers were arranged perfectly, and the music played softly in the background. I couldn't help but smile. This was it. But when I reached the front, my smile faltered. Ava wasn't there. Instead, I saw her standing next to Jake, my best friend, my closest friend for years. And she wasn't just standing next to him. She was holding his hand. It felt like my breath had been stolen. My heart dropped into my stomach as I stood there, frozen. For a moment, I thought I was dreaming. This couldn't be real, right? Ava, I managed to choke out. My voice felt foreign, like I was speaking through a thick fog. She turned slowly, her eyes meeting mine. The shock in her gaze didn't last long. It quickly faded, replaced by something else. Something I couldn't quite place, but wasn't love. Ryan, she whispered my name, but there was no warmth in it. Why are you? My voice cracked. The words caught in my throat. Why are you doing this? What's going on? Jake shifted awkwardly, his hand still clasped around hers, as if he didn't know how to act. I don't know what to say. Ava's voice was so soft, so distant. I never wanted to hurt you. I felt like I was losing my grip on reality. Hurt me? I laughed bitterly, but there was nothing funny about it. Ava, you're marrying him, aren't you? You were supposed to marry me. She looked down at the ground, and the silence between us grew thick. I could barely breathe. Ryan, I'm sorry. I never meant for it to happen this way. Jake cleared his throat, taking a step forward. It's not like we planned this, man, he said. It just happened. I turned to him, my chest tight with rage and confusion. It just happened? You are the one who was supposed to have my back, Jake. You're my best friend. How could you do this to me? To us. Jake opened his mouth, but no words came out. His face was filled with guilt, but that didn't matter. Nothing mattered. I couldn't stop staring at them, both of them standing there, together. Ava, please, I whispered, but my voice sounded weak even in my own ears. Please, tell me this isn't real. Her eyes met mine again, and for a fleeting second, I saw something like regret flash in them, but it was gone just as quickly as it had appeared. She took a deep breath and shook her head. I never wanted to hurt you, Ryan, but I can't marry you. I felt my knees go weak, and I staggered backward, feeling the weight of the words she had just spoken. I wanted to scream, to fight back, to demand answers. But what was the point? Is this a joke? I asked, barely able to keep the tears from my eyes. Please, tell me this is some sick joke, Ava. She shook her head, her face pale. No joke. I'm sorry, Ryan. I love Jake. I always have. The world seemed to tilt beneath my feet as the room spun. I wanted to ask how long this had been going on, how she could stand there and lie to me so easily, but no words came. I thought you were my friend, Jake, I whispered. I trusted you. Jake opened his mouth, but nothing he could say would make this better. Ava turned to him, and their fingers intertwined. It was as if I didn't even exist anymore. They were already together. And me? I was nothing. You can't do this, I said, but my voice was barely above a whisper. I loved you. I loved you both. I know, Ryan, Ava said softly, almost apologetically. But sometimes love just isn't enough. I didn't know what hurt more, the words she said, or the look in her eyes as she spoke them. I turned away, my heart feeling like it was being ripped apart. Everything we had shared, all the dreams, all the plans, it was all shattered in an instant, and I was left standing there, alone. I couldn't breathe. The weight on my chest was unbearable, suffocating me, like a dark cloud had settled inside my ribs. I never imagined it would feel like this. Betrayal. This wasn't just a word anymore. It was a gnawing, aching hole that tore through everything I thought I knew. I found myself standing outside Ava's apartment, my fists clenched at my sides. My mind kept running in circles, but no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't stop the images of her with Jake. Smiling, laughing, as if nothing had ever mattered more than that damn secret. Ava opened the door slowly, her eyes wide as if she had expected me. Maybe she'd been waiting for this moment. "Ryan, what's wrong?" Her voice was soft, fragile, but there was something about it that made me feel like she wasn't the girl I thought I knew. I stepped inside, feeling the cold air seep through me like a ghost. The silence between us stretched, heavy with the weight of everything I wanted to say. But what was the point? She had already made her choice. I could see it in her face. I could feel it in the way she looked at me, like I was someone she no longer cared to understand. "You didn't think I'd find out?" I managed to get the words out, though my throat felt like it was closing around them. She flinched but didn't step back. "I never meant for you to get hurt. You have to understand." "Understand what?" I exploded before I could stop myself. "You were supposed to be the one person who never lied to me, Ava." Her eyes dropped to the floor. "I didn't lie, Ryan. I just never loved you the way you thought I did." The words hit me like a punch. I staggered back, trying to steady myself. "What does that even mean?" My voice cracked, and for a moment, I felt completely empty, like I was staring at a stranger in front of me. "I don't know," she whispered. "I thought I did, but I didn't. I'm sorry. I never wanted to hurt you." I couldn't even bring myself to respond. The girl I thought I was going to marry, the girl who had been everything to me, she never really felt the same way. It was all a lie, a painful, suffocating lie. I turned away from her, walking to the door. I don't want to hear any more excuses. I can't do this. Before I stepped out, I heard her voice again, barely a whisper. "I'm sorry, Ryan." But I didn't turn back. I left her apartment and drove to Jake's house, feeling numb to the world around me. It was as though I was moving in slow motion, each second dragging me closer to the truth that I didn't want to face. Jake was sitting on the couch when I walked in. He didn't look surprised to see me. He didn't even stand up. He just looked at me, and for the first time, I saw the truth in his eyes. "Hey, man, what's going on?" he asked, but his voice lacked the warmth it used to have. It was cold, distant, like he was already preparing for this conversation to end in a way I wouldn't like. "You and Ava," I started, my voice shaking with rage. "You knew, all along, didn't you?" Jake didn't say anything at first. He just shifted, his gaze flicking to the window, then back to me, and then he sighed, like he had no choice but to admit it. "I didn't mean for it to happen, Ryan. It just did." I wanted to scream. "You didn't mean for it to happen? You're my best friend, Jake. You knew how much she meant to me, and you still—" "I never wanted to hurt you," he interrupted, running a hand through his hair. "But I've always had feelings for her, man. Always." I stared at him, dumbfounded. This was it, the final betrayal. I'd trusted him, told him everything. He was supposed to be the one I could count on, but he had thrown that all away, just like Ava had. "I can't believe you." I shook my head, stepping back from him. "You both ruined everything. I don't know you anymore." He didn't even try to apologize. He just stared at me like I was the one who had done something wrong. And maybe in some twisted way maybe I had been too blind to see the cracks in my own life. I turned and walked out of the house, not caring about anything anymore. I couldn't stay here, not with all these memories, not with the constant reminders of how stupid I had been to believe in them. I didn't know where I was going. I just knew I had to leave. I couldn't breathe in this town anymore, not with a minute. I had to go. I had to start over somewhere else. Somewhere I wouldn't be reminded of how broken I felt. The city felt like a different world. Bright lights, crowded streets, noise that never seemed to stop. But none of it mattered. I thought that getting away from everything would help. That maybe a change of scenery would erase the echoes of Ava's face, the coldness in Jake's eyes. It hasn't. I shoved my hands into my pockets, staring blankly at the busy street outside the cafe. I didn't know why I even came here. I didn't want coffee. I didn't want to be around people, but here I was, just another face in the crowd. The endless hum of conversations around me only made it worse, like the world was moving on and I was stuck, frozen in place. A guy at the counter waved at me. I didn't recognize him, but he seemed familiar, like I should know him. "Hey, you're the new guy from the accounting class, right?" I forced a smile, nodding. "Yeah, that's me. Brandon." He held out his hand, but I hesitated for a second before shaking it. "You look like you could use a drink." I didn't feel like talking, but I nodded anyway. "Maybe just a coffee." Brandon slid into the seat across from me, without asking. "So, how are you settling in?" he asked, leaning back with his coffee cup in hand. His tone was light, almost too cheerful. "I'm getting by," I muttered, picking at the edge of my napkin. My words sounded hollow even to me. I wanted to scream, to tell him what was really going on inside my head, but I didn't. I couldn't. No one knew the real me here, and I liked it that way. "Yeah, man, I get it. It's hard, you know?" Brandon leaned forward, his expression turning serious for a moment. "But, you got to let it go. Whatever happened before, it stays in the past." Let it go? It's not that simple. Ava and Jake, they're all I think about. I wish I could just forget, but the thought of them together, laughing, without me, burned a hole through my chest every time. The anger was like a fire, just simmering under the surface, waiting to explode. "I don't know if I can," I said, my voice quieter than I meant to be. Brandon didn't seem to notice, though. "Yeah, well, I'm here if you ever want to talk. We can grab drinks sometime." He stood up, offering me a smile that was too bright, too hopeful. "Things get better, trust me." I watched him walk away, a small pang of jealousy rising in me. He had no idea. No one did. I turned back to my phone, flicking through messages that never got answered. Ava had blocked me months ago. Jake, I didn't even want to think about him. The betrayal still tasted like metal in my mouth. I wanted them to pay for what they did to me, to feel that same emptiness, that same crushing realization that everything I'd known was a lie. But where do I even start? They're gone, living their perfect little lives, and I'm left to pick up the pieces. Alone, I leaned back, closing my eyes for a moment, trying to calm my racing thoughts. I needed to focus, to get my life together, to stop drowning in memories. School was my only distraction, and work, though exhausting, was a good enough way to pass the time. But even in the quietest moments, I could feel the anger inside of me growing, swelling until I couldn't contain it anymore. I threw myself into everything I could, hoping something, anything, would numb the pain. I focused on school assignments, on work, on meeting new people. But no matter what I did, the emptiness never fully went away. I met more people, sure, Brandon, a few classmates, some colleagues at the office, but none of them mattered. They were just faces, just distractions. I tried to make connections, but the void left by Ava and Jake was too deep. It swallowed everything else. At night, lying in bed, it was the only thing that kept me awake. I thought about the things I could do, the ways I could make them feel the same way they made me feel. But I didn't know where to start. It wasn't as easy as showing up at their door, screaming at them, or throwing things in their faces. No, it needed to be calculated, slow. The longer I waited, the worse it would be for them. I didn't care if I was losing myself. I didn't care if it was eating me alive. I just wanted them to feel the same pain I did. I couldn't believe it when the phone rang. The caller ID was all too familiar, and for a second, my heart skipped. But then I saw her name, Ava. My blood turned cold. I stared at the screen, my hand trembling. It had been months, and I hadn't expected to hear from her again. I wasn't sure if I was even ready to hear her voice. But I swiped the screen anyway. "Ryan." Her voice sounded almost fragile, like she didn't expect me to pick up. I didn't say anything at first. I couldn't. The anger was too much, and the silence between us felt like 1,000 unanswered questions. I could hear her breathing on the other end, waiting. "I'm sorry," she said, her voice cracking. "I know I hurt you, but I need to say it. I'm sorry, Ryan. So sorry." Her apology felt like a slap. Why now? Why after everything? The rage boiled up inside me, threatening to spill over. I wanted to scream at her, ask her why she was calling, but all I could manage was a breathless, "Why?" "I was wrong," she said, and I could almost hear her tear herself apart as she spoke. I didn't know what I had until it was gone. The word stung, but not in the way I expected. It wasn't a sense of relief. It was a sharp taste of betrayal that I still couldn't wash out. "You didn't know what you had?" I whispered, the bitterness cutting through me. "You think I'm just supposed to forget all of it? You chose him. Ava, you made that choice." Jake left me," she said in a rush, like she was afraid I'd hang up if she didn't get out fast. He was never what I thought he was. It's just me now, Ryan. Alone. Like you." Her words hit harder than I wanted them to. It was almost as if she was trying to connect the pieces, make me feel sorry for her. But all it did was remind me of everything she had taken from me. "I'm sorry, Ava," I said, my voice colder than I wanted it to be. "But you made your choice. You left me, and now I'm left to pick up the pieces." There was a long silence on the other end. I could almost hear her fighting back tears, the sound of her breath ragged, like she didn't know how to apologize enough. But no apology would be enough for me. Not anymore. "Please, Ryan," she said softly. I need you to forgive me. I need you to understand. I didn't." "You didn't what?" I cut her off. "You didn't know what you had? You didn't know what it meant to be with me? You didn't know how it felt to be left in the dust after everything? Don't you dare come to me now. Ava, it's too late for that." She was quiet again, and for a second, I thought she was going to hang up, but she didn't. Instead, I heard the faintest sob, and it nearly broke me. Almost. But then the anger took over again. "Please, Ryan, just give me a second chance. I'm sorry. I swear I am. I've learned that I was wrong, and I know you're angry. No." The word was final. I didn't need to hear any more. "You had your chance. You made your choice when you chose him over me. I'm done, Ava." Another silence stretched out longer this time. But this time, it wasn't the kind of silence where something could be fixed. It was the silence of two people who had already gone too far to come back from it. I understand," she whispered. "I'm sorry. I really am." I didn't respond. I couldn't. Instead, I pressed a button to end the call. I didn't want to hear any more of her voice. It didn't matter anymore. The ache in my chest was there, as it had been for weeks. But I didn't care. I couldn't care. Not anymore. I had moved on from her long ago, even if my heart hadn't caught up yet. But the thing was, I didn't want to care. I couldn't let myself feel it again. I had to be done with her. For good. I couldn't get Ava's call out of my head. The sound of her voice, trembling, as she told me she was alone now. It should have been a relief, right? But all it did was twist something deep inside me, a knot that I couldn't untangle. She was alone, just like me. But that was no comfort. I told myself I didn't care. I had to tell myself that. But then why did it hurt so much? "Just let it go," I muttered under my breath, staring out the window of my apartment, watching the world go by without a care. The city we had both shared, the streets we'd walked together, everything here reminded me of her. I tried to focus, to shut out, but the memories kept creeping in uninvited. Her laugh, the way she looked at me, when I thought everything was perfect, I couldn't escape it. But then, Jake, the bastard, his betrayal still echoed in my mind like a hammer striking metal. "You don't know what she's really like, Ryan." His words rang in my head like they were meant to break me. And they did. How could I trust anything he said? Or anyone, for that matter? He destroyed everything. Everything. I paced the apartment, my thoughts tumbling over each other. Was revenge what I wanted? Did it even matter? Could I live with myself if I let it go, if I forgave him? I wasn't sure anymore. I tried to put out my mind, focus on something else, anything else, but my phone buzzed, cutting through the silence. A message. "Jake." My stomach twisted. I stared at the screen, the words blinking back at me, daring me to open them. I should have ignored it. I knew that, but my fingers were already tapping the screen. Ryan, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you. I was wrong. I was so wrong. I'm in trouble, and only you can help me. What the hell was he talking about? Was this another game? Another one of his lies? I stared at the message for what felt like an eternity. It didn't make sense. After everything he had done to me, to Ava, after ripping everything apart. Now he wanted my help? Was this his version of an apology? I felt a mix of anger and confusion stir in my chest. I wanted to throw my phone across the room, but instead, I just gripped it tighter. The truth was, I didn't know what I wanted anymore. I had spent so long hating him, blaming him for everything that went wrong. But this wasn't what I expected. This wasn't the response I had been preparing myself for. He was asking for help, not revenge. I slammed my fist against the wall, the pain of it sharp, like a cold reminder of what I had lost. Ava, Jake, my whole life had been turned upside down, and now he was asking me to fix it? I sat down on the couch, running a hand through my hair, my thoughts tangled. Should I help him? Should I even care? Everything in me screamed to ignore him, to leave him to rot in whatever mess he had gotten himself into. But then, there was a part of me, the part that wasn't filled with hate or anger, that wondered if maybe there was more to this. Was there a chance for redemption? For me or for him? Or was I just fooling myself? I glanced at the phone again, his message still there, waiting. My heart was heavy with indecision, the weight of it threatening to crush me. I closed my eyes, try and block out the chaos in my mind, but Ava's face flashed in my memory again. She was gone, and I was still here, lost. Could I really move on from all this? Could I really find peace? Or was revenge the only thing that could silence the pain? You need to make a choice, Ryan, I whispered to myself. It's time to decide. Help him or walk away. I reached for my phone, my hands shaking. I was so damn tired of being caught in this endless loop of hurt, of confusion. Before I could stop myself, I started typing. What kind of trouble are you in? The moment my thumb hit send, I knew I was already too deep. I was already questioning everything I had told myself I wanted. This wasn't about revenge anymore. Something in me, something I had wanted to acknowledge, was ready to listen. He was right about one thing. I didn't have to forgive him, but maybe, just maybe I could help him. I never thought I'd be here, standing in front of Jake again. I had made it clear when I walked away from him that there was no going back. The years of lies, betrayal, and the pain I had to swallow, it all felt like a distant nightmare. And yet, here I was, staring at the man who once meant everything to me, now looking like a ghost of the past. He stood there, hands shoved deep in the pockets of his jacket, shifting uncomfortably. His eyes, once full of confidence, were now full of regret, heavy, as if the weight of the world was crushing him. The sight didn't bring me comfort, though it only made me realize how far I'd come since I'd last seen him. Ryan, his voice was shaky, almost apologetic. It wasn't the voice I remembered, the one that always had the upper hand. I crossed my arms, leaning against the doorframe of the small cafe where we'd agreed to meet. You wanted to see me. Talk, I said, my tone colder than I'd intended. He flinched slightly but pushed on. Yeah, I messed up badly with Ava. He stopped himself, swallowing hard, like the words were stuck in his throat. A bitter laugh escaped me. You think I care about Ava now? After everything? Jake's gaze dropped to the floor, and for the first time, I saw the vulnerability that had always been hidden beneath his cocky exterior. I don't expect you to care. I don't even expect forgiveness. But I need your help, Ryan. I don't know how to fix what I did. I raised an eyebrow. And why the hell would I help you? He looked up, his eyes pleading now. Because I know I ruined everything. And he cut himself off, his face hardening as if he were trying to build a wall around his emotions. Because I deserve to fix it, even if it means losing everything. I studied him carefully, feeling a strange satisfaction at seeing him so broken. Yet I also couldn't ignore the feeling that lingered deep inside me. This wasn't the victory I had imagined. He'd hurt me more than anyone ever could, and yet here he was admitting defeat. "I'm not doing this for you, Jake," I said quietly, my voice steady. "I'm doing it for me." He frowned. "What do you mean?" I stepped forward, letting the distance between us shrink. "Helping you? It's my way of taking control. You don't get to come back into my life and expect sympathy." Jake took a deep breath, and for a moment, I thought he might say something else. But instead, he just nodded. "I get it. You've got the power now. But can you at least tell me how to fix this? Ava, she won't talk to me. She won't even look at me." A surge of something, I couldn't name it, flooded me. I didn't want to feel sorry for him, not after everything he'd done. But the truth was, Jake was no longer the arrogant asshole I once knew. He was just human, and I wasn't sure how to deal with that. "Maybe," I said, my voice a little softer than I intended. "Maybe you can't fix it, but that's not my problem anymore." I took a step back, glancing around the cafe, not wanting to look him in the eye any longer. "You did this to yourself, Jake. I'm not your savior, and I'm not your enemy. You're on your own now." His face fell, the light in his eyes dimming. He opened his mouth as if to say something, but the words never came. I turned to leave, but stopped halfway. "I'm glad you're finally seeing things clearly," I added, my voice cool but with a tinge of satisfaction. "But don't expect me to clean up your mess." As I walked away, I felt a strange sense of closure. It wasn't the kind I thought I'd get when this day came. The bitterness of the past wasn't gone. It was still there, lurking under the surface. But in that moment, I realized something important. Jake had lost. Not just me, but everything he thought he had. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was in control of my own life again. I stepped outside into the cool air, taking a deep breath. It wasn't over yet, but it was the start of something new. Something that didn't involve Jake or Ava or anyone else from that painful chapter in my life. It was my turn to write the next part of my story. And this time, I was the one holding the pen. The letter came on a cold morning, the kind where the sky looks like it's holding back tears. I wasn't expecting anything, not today, not from anyone. The envelope was old, frayed at the edges like it had been buried under time and dust, and my hand shook as I turned it over. Ava's handwriting sprawled across the front, her familiar loop letters that always made my heart ache. I tore it open without thinking. Her words were already there, scrawled on the inside, waiting for me to face them. "Ryan, I don't know where to begin." My breath caught in my chest. I almost couldn't read any further, but I did. I've never been good at this, at being honest, at facing what's inside me. But I owe you this much. I owe you everything. You were never the problem. It was always me. The words hit harder than I expected. I sat down on the edge of the couch, staring at the paper. The air around me felt thick, suffocating. Ava's confession started to pull me under, one word at a time. I loved Jake. I always did. I tried to convince myself it was just a phase, that I could be happy with you. You were kind. You cared for me in ways I never knew how to appreciate. But all the while, I was lying to you and myself. It wasn't fair to you, and I'm so sorry. My heart was pounding in my ears. I read it again, slower this time. The anger, the rage that had been simmering inside me for so long, began to burn even brighter. Maybe I thought I could love you the way you wanted me to, but I didn't. Not really. And that's something I'll regret for the rest of my life. I squeezed my eyes shut, trying to process it. My hand was trembling as I held the letter, my fingers brushing against the edges. Her words weren't just confessions. They were daggers, cutting through the walls I'd built around myself since everything fell apart. I used you, Ryan. I used you as a stepping stone to get to him, to figure out what I really wanted. I thought I could break free from my own fears, but I just ended up hurting you more. I should have told you the truth from the start, but I was scared of losing him, of losing myself. I closed my eyes, letting the weight of her apology sink in. There was no anger left now, just an overwhelming sense of clarity. I'd spent so long blaming her, blaming myself, but this letter wasn't just an apology. It was the truth. I ran my fingers over the words again, feeling the roughness of the paper, as if touching it would bring me closer to understanding. I don't know if you'll ever forgive me. I don't know if I deserve your forgiveness. But I needed you to know, because you were never just a rebound. You were the person who loved me when I didn't deserve it. I'm so sorry, Ryan, for everything." I paused. The silence around me was deafening. I had been so focused on my anger, on blaming her, on hating the way things turned out. But now I saw it all for what it was. Ava had been trapped by her own confusion, by her own desires. She'd made her choices, but they weren't about me. They were about her inability to face her truth, her fear of hurting me and losing him. But what she said next, it was the hardest part to read. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I'm not asking for that. I just want you to know that I'm sorry. I always loved Jake, and I think I always will. I don't know if we'll ever be what we were, but I hope you find someone who loves you the way you deserve." The words stung, but they didn't tear me apart like I thought they would. Instead, there was something else, something that felt like the beginning of a new chapter. She was being honest now. She was giving me the truth, even if it was too late. I folded the letter carefully, feeling the weight of it in my hands. I didn't know what to feel, not exactly. But there was one thing I knew for sure. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about me, too. About learning to move forward. About finding my own way out of the mess she'd left behind. I couldn't forgive her. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I understood now. I understood why she did what she did. And for the first time, I wasn't just angry. I was free. I stood up, folding the letter one more time, and walked to the window, staring out at the empty street below. The past felt so far away now, and the future it felt open, uncertain, but not impossible. Maybe that was enough. I never thought I'd meet someone like Samantha. It was a random encounter, the kind where you bump into someone in a coffee shop, and they somehow end up changing everything. Her smile was the first thing that caught my attention. It wasn't anything forced, just natural, genuine. She stood in line ahead of me, and as the barista handed her the coffee, she turned around, her eyes meeting mine for the briefest of moments. "Excuse me," she said, her voice soft but steady. "Do you mind if I ask you a question?" I nodded, still not sure why she was even talking to me. "I've seen you here a few times," she continued, tapping her cup lightly, "and you always look like you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. You good?" The question hung in the air. I hadn't been asked anything like that in months, maybe longer. It felt like a lifeline thrown at me, but I didn't know how to grab it. I thought about just nodding and walking away. After all, who was she to care? But for some reason, I didn't. Instead, I let out a breath, something deep and heavy. "Yeah, just trying to get by." She smiled again, like she wasn't buying it. "Well, I'm Samantha," she said, sticking her hand out. "I know we're strangers, but I'll listen. If you need someone to talk to, I'm all ears." I hesitated, caught off guard by her kindness. "I'm Ryan," I said, shaking her hand, feeling the warmth of her grip. That was how it all began. Just two people standing in a coffee shop, exchanging names, neither of us knowing what would come next. We didn't exchange numbers that day, but I kept thinking about her offer. A couple of days later, I bumped into her again, this time outside a bookstore. "Ryan," she called out with that same smile, like she'd been waiting for me. I laughed a little, unsure of how to react. "What is it with you in coffee shops?" She shrugged, still grinning. "I think it's the only place where people don't judge you for sitting alone." We stood there for a while, just talking about nothing and everything. It was easy in a way I hadn't felt in months. I didn't have to hide behind any masks. She didn't pressure me, didn't try to make me feel better. She just listened. I found myself telling her about Ava, Jake, the betrayal that had destroyed everything I thought I knew about love. At first, I thought it was just a mistake. I said, my voice quiet, raw. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it was never about love. It was about control, manipulation. She wanted something from me that I couldn't give. Samantha didn't interrupt, didn't say anything for a long while. She just looked at me with those calm eyes, as if she were waiting for me to finish. And then when I was done, when I'd laid my heart out on the table, she spoke. "You deserve better. It was simple. Just 3 words. But they hit me like a punch to the gut. I couldn't breathe for a moment, couldn't move, couldn't speak. "You deserve better," she repeated, her tone gentle but firm. I shook my head, feeling the weight of the past pressing down on me again. "How can you say that? After everything I've been through? I don't know if I'll ever be able to get past it." She stepped closer, her voice softening. "Ryan, I get it. I really do. But you're not your past. You're not the mistakes you've made or the ones that were made against you. You're someone who deserves more than just to survive. You deserve to feel good again, to be happy." I didn't know how to respond. A part of me wanted to dismiss her, to tell her she didn't understand, that she couldn't possibly know how deep the scars ran. But another part of me, one I hadn't heard from in so long, wanted to believe her. "I don't know if I can ever feel that way again," I said, the words tasting bitter on my tongue. "You can," she said, her voice unwavering. "You just need to believe it. And sometimes believing starts with letting go." Letting go. The words echoed in my mind, but they felt impossible. How could I let go of something that had defined me for so long? How could I release the anger, the hurt, the feeling of being betrayed by the one person I trusted the most? But as I looked at Samantha, her kindness, her honesty, the way she made me feel like I wasn't completely broken, I started to wonder if she was right. Maybe I didn't have to carry all of this forever. "Thanks," I said, the words coming out more broken than I intended. I needed to hear that. She smiled, her eyes softening. "Anytime, Ryan. You don't have to do this alone." For the first time in a long time, I felt like maybe, just maybe, there was a way out of this darkness. Maybe, with a little help, I could find my way back to myself. The air between us feels thick, like it's made of tension and regret. I can't quite believe I'm here, standing in front of Ava and Jake. The same 2 people who tore my world apart, now reduced to shadows of who they once were. My mind is still racing, but my voice comes out steady. "Why?" The word hangs in the air, heavy with every unsaid question. I feel like I've been carrying it for too long, and now that it's finally spoken, it echoes in the empty space around us. "Why, Ava? Why, Jake?" Jake shifts his weight, looking at me with dark circles under his eyes, like he's been carrying a burden he can't shake. "I don't know what you wanted to say, man." His voice is strained, almost like he's tired of fighting. "I've made my peace with everything. It's not going to change what happened." I clench my fists, the rawness of it all still cutting through me like a knife. "You think I care about your peace? What about mine, Jake? You and her, you ruined me." Ava steps forward, her face tear-streaked, eyes red. She looks like she's been holding it in for far too long, and now it's spilling out all at once. "I was wrong, Ryan. I was so wrong." Her voice cracks, and I can see the struggle in her face. Regret, sorrow, and maybe even shame. I wish I could change it. I wish I could take it all back. But I can't. I know that. I stare at her, my emotions all tangled up inside. I want to scream. I want to tell her how much she hurt me. But instead, I just stand there breathing. I look at Jake, then at her, and something shifts inside of me. I get it. I say, the words coming out slower than I expect. "You two were in love. Maybe you didn't know how to handle it, but that's not my problem anymore." I take a step back, shaking my head. I'm done trying to make sense of it all. I can't fix you two. I can't even fix what you did to me. Ava looks like she wants to say something, but she's not sure what. I see the hesitation in her eyes. "I'm sorry," she whispers, barely audible. Jake runs a hand through his hair, his face lined with exhaustion. "It's too late for apologies, Ava. We can't undo what we've done." His voice is flat, like he's given up on finding any real redemption. I swallow hard, but I can feel it. The anger, the hurt, they're no longer consuming me. They're fading. Yeah, it is too late. I take another step back, the finality of it sinking in. But you know what? I'm not broken anymore. Both of them are silent now, watching me as if they're waiting for me to fall apart. But I don't. I can feel it, the shift in me, the change I didn't even realize was happening until now. For the first time in what feels like forever, I realize I'm free. I've moved on. I say, my voice firm, steady. I've built something new. And no matter what you say or do, neither of you control me anymore. I look at them one last time. Ava's eyes are still full of tears, and Jake's face is expressionless. But I can't find it in me to feel sorry for them. Not anymore. Goodbye, I say, turning away. You don't exist in my world anymore. I leave them standing there, broken and defeated, while I step into the life I built. The world feels lighter with every step I take, and for the first time in ages, I feel like I finally found peace. I stand at the edge of the balcony, the cool evening breeze ruffling my hair. The city below is alive, a million lights flickering like distant stars. But it's the silence inside me that speaks the loudest. The ache, the weight of everything that happened, it's still there, but it's not consuming me anymore. Ava's waiting for you downstairs. Jake's voice breaks through my thoughts and I turn to face him, the words heavy but somehow freeing. I don't need to talk to her. His expression softens, like he's trying to understand, but he doesn't get it. Not fully. He never will. She's sorry, you know, Jake adds, almost hesitating, as if unsure whether he should say it. That I exhale slowly, walking toward the railing. I'm sure she is. There was a time when that would have mattered, when I'd have demanded an apology, when I'd have let the bitterness eat me alive, made them feel the pain they caused. But not anymore. I've forgiven her, Jake. The word surprised even me. I haven't said them out loud, not until now. Not for her, but for me. Jake says nothing for a moment, like he's digesting it. I don't think I'll ever be able to forgive myself for what happened. I think you should. I reply, turn to look at him. I think you should let go, too, for your own sake. His eyes meet mine, searching. He's not expecting this version of me, the one who's let go. I can see it in the way his jaw tightens, the struggle in his face. But there's something else there now, understanding, maybe a little peace. Ryan, Jake starts again, his voice faltering for the first time. I never wanted to hurt you. I know, I answer softly. But you did, and it almost destroyed me. But it didn't. I'm still here, and I'm okay. I smile, though it feels strange, unfamiliar on my face. You should be, too. Jake doesn't respond. He just stands there, watching me like he's seeing me for the first time. I wish I could explain everything I've been through, everything I've learned. But I don't need to. I've already said what matters. The door opens behind me, and I don't have to look to know it's Ava. She doesn't speak immediately, just steps into the room and waits, as if giving me the space to say something, to do something. I'll be downstairs in a minute, I tell her, my voice steady. You can go ahead. She nods, her gaze lingering on me, but there's nothing left between us now. The anger I once had for her, the hurt, it's gone. I don't know when it disappeared, but it did. The past doesn't have the power to haunt me anymore. I know what you're thinking. Ava says quietly, you're wondering why I didn't choose you. But I've been asking myself that too, and I have no answer. Her words don't sting. They don't need to. It's okay, Ava. You don't need to explain. She looks like she's about to say more, but then she stops, shaking her head as if giving up on the idea. I guess I've been asking for forgiveness too. I know, I reply, but you don't have to. I've already forgiven you. She pauses, then finally smiles, a small, genuine smile that seems to lift the weight between us. I hope you find what you're looking for, Ryan, she says, her voice soft, sincere. I already have, I tell her, walking toward the stairs, ready to leave the past behind. It's time to move on. I step outside, the air cool against my skin. The city feels different now, quieter, like it's waiting, too. I've let go. Ava and Jake may never fully understand what they did or how much it hurt, but I'm not angry anymore. I've forgiven them, not for their sake, but for mine. As I walk away from everything that once consumed me, I realize something. Sometimes, the greatest betrayal can lead to the most unexpected transformation. It took the darkness for me to find the light, and now, as I step into the unknown, I know that I am no longer the person I once was. I'm free,